Just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including DeArmond, Roberto Coin, Marco Bichego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road. Here in North Alabama, barbecue is a part of what makes our home so special, and great barbecue from Lawler's makes it just that much better. Since 1978, Lawler's has been serving up their delicious barbecued pork, ribs, chicken, ham, and turkey for generations of family get-togethers. Recognized as the best barbecue joint in Alabama for 2 years in a row, Lawler's is thrilled to share their award-winning barbecue for your next family meal or catered event. Order online or stop by any one of their 14 area locations. Lawler's Barbecue, cooked slow, served fast. Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including DeArmond, Roberto Coin, Marco Bichego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. Alabama Sports is brought to you by Conecuh Sausage. Conecuh Sausage, made fresh every day in Evergreen, Alabama since 1947, and now the official smoked sausage of the Crimson Tide. Order online at ConecuhSausage.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Here are thoughts from former Alabama linebacker Corey Reamer from Monday night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind, presented by the Alabama Department of Public Health.
Always great to get a win when you go against your in-state rival, and especially after, even after 2 seasons that neither team probably were hoping how, turned out how they did. You still got to show up and play this game because it matters a lot to people in the locker room, the staff, the universities, the people across the state. There's a lot of people who are tuning in to watch this game. So to go out there and to get a win is always massive, and there's still implications for postseason play. You don't know what's going to shake out this championship weekend. There's a lot of different scenarios of opportunities for Alabama to at least be in the conversation. With a loss, that doesn't get to happen. So good for them. It was an interesting game. It seemed like things were in hand, but then the score didn't really reflect it.
I'll have more in a moment.
Favorite jeans, favorite shirt. Got Conecuh sausage and I'm firing it up. Yeah, everybody knows it's how I get my grill on. You can smell that flavor up and down the road. It's a little taste of heaven. Everybody knows. That's how I get my grill on. Conecuh sausage. It's just a little taste of heaven.
If you missed last Monday's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind, catch it on demand on the Alabama Insider podcast, as well as a video archive on the CTSN YouTube page. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Conecuh Sausage. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And with that, we say welcome in. We are off. We are running. It is a brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. Happy Wednesday morning, everyone. A Wednesday morning that sees, I don't know, if you are doing a show, if you are talking sports and sports radio today, it is hard, and it'll be hard for us to get everything in just 120 minutes, because today, obviously, last night, the college football playoff rankings coming out. We have got a lot to dissect there. Ward Manuel again. We'll hear from him. We'll talk about the rankings. You've got a little thing called National Signing Day going on today. Remember, we got a lot of stuff to talk about that. And, of course, we got basketball. But it is a Wednesday, and that means one thing and one thing only. It is time for our 7th grader prognosticator, the one, the only, Grady the Greek, kind enough to join us, a.k.a. our roving reporter, Grady the Greek. Good morning, bud.
Morning.
How
Morning,
you doing
Grady.
today?
Good. How are y'all?
Doing good. Hey, your work talking to Rich Rodriguez last weekend was a thing of beauty.
Great job, man.
Thank you.
That was pretty cool.
I was nervous.
You were nervous?
You didn't sound it.
I was a little nervous.
Anyway, what were your thoughts on the Iron Bowl?
Well, last week was great. I mean, I didn't have to skip school this Monday. But, we had too many turnovers, but luckily Auburn's not any good.
All right. So with Alabama not in the SEC championship game this weekend, what game are you picking?
I'm just not picking a game this week.
No games. We thought you might even be picking Jacksonville State.
I should have.
You should have. Well, they're playing Western Kentucky. Any thoughts on that one, though?
Rematch.
Hopefully they'll win.
See, that's what I love. There's no drawn out thing. It's just hopefully they win. Love it.
Yep.
All right, but we'll go over the college football playoff rankings here in a little bit. Your thoughts last night on Alabama coming in number 11?
Well, we're number 11 in the playoffs, so I'm hoping we can hang on right there.
All right, I like it. All right, bud, you got to give a shout out.
Shout out to my dad.
Nice.
Wow. Okay.
Coach Hunter Royer.
First one
house.
this season.
Yep.
All right. Are you going to go to the Jack State game on Friday?
No, sir.
Oh, skipping the conference.
I have a dance to go to for my school.
You got what?
I have a school dance to go to.
Uh-oh.
The star of the dance. Grady the Greek.
Uh-oh. We won't embarrass you.
Yeah.
All right, bud.
We know you're going to do great, Grady.
Yep. Have a good one. Is this a big dance?
I mean, it's just I don't know.
All right, bud. Have a good one and have fun Friday night.
All right, see ya.
All right,
see you, Grady.
The Greek, kind enough.
He's taking a bye week this week.
He's taking a bye week to go to a school dance.
He certainly is. Just like Kentucky basketball took a bye last night.
You gotta have a little fun. All right, so
I certainly did.
The big thing last night, and yes, we're going to kind of blend a lot on this show today because we got the college football playoff rankings. We got to look ahead to the ACC, SEC the challenge tonight. Alabama and Auburn in action. They went 9-1 last night. Did the league? We got to talk about that.
Who was that one again, Scott?
I know. We got to talk
the greatest team that's
in
in college basketball history that wasn't going to lose a game, according to the idiot that calls the show every day.
We got to talk National Signing Day. We got all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's so much, but we start with the college football playoff rankings. They come out last night. Oregon, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame 1-4, Georgia 5, Ohio State 6, Tennessee 7, SMU 8, Indiana 9, Boise State 10, Alabama 11, Miami 12. Ole Miss 13, South Carolina 14. Those are your top 14. Now, Arizona State is 15. Iowa State is 16. Why is that important? Because the winner of the Big 12 title game, either Arizona State or Iowa State, are going to get into the playoffs no matter what.
Yep.
If those were the final rankings, and those are not the final rankings. We'll have those on Sunday. Your playoff bracket would look like this. Indiana would travel to Georgia. Alabama would travel to Notre Dame. Tennessee would travel to Ohio State. Arizona State, if they win, or Iowa State would travel to Penn State. Your byes would belong to Oregon, Texas, SMU, and Boise State. That would be how the bracket would be constructed if that indeed was the final bracket or the final ranking.
It's not, but Alabama's in solid shape right now. I still think to feel 110% like you're locked in, SMU needs to beat Clemson and eliminate them because they don't have the resume to be in the playoff, except for the fact they play in a sad sack conference where they still qualified for the conference championship game. Miami is screwed. They have no resume. They have no case. They played nobody. They beat nobody. So they will not be in. And then, like I said, Ole Miss and South Carolina both had cases, but not as good as Alabama's, no matter what Brad Crawford says and no matter what narrative he tries to create, which is a bunch of BS. And no matter what anybody affiliated or covers Ole Miss tries to come up with, because you lost to 4-8 Kentucky. They're about as bad as Kentucky basketball right now.
So yesterday on the college football playoff show, Ward Manuel kind of on the ESPN broadcast said, hey, look, and he kind of alluded to the fact that if you are not playing this weekend, you are pretty much locked in your spot. And those that are playing could either move up or potentially move down. He was asked about that again in the conference call after the ratings were released. And, of course, Alabama's name gets mentioned.
Well, in answer to the question, if you take, for example, Tennessee is ahead of SMU, Indiana is behind SMU. Tennessee will not drop below Indiana at any point. Neither team is playing. But SMU could move up depending on how we evaluate the game. They could stay where they are, or they can move down depending on the outcome of the game. But Tennessee and Indiana, in this example, would never flip. Indiana would never move ahead of Tennessee, and Tennessee would never drop below Indiana because we've already evaluated them. There's not another data point because they're not playing in the championship games. And so we don't have anything else to add to the evaluation of those teams. So we can't move them above or below each other.
Okay. But could SMU drop below Alabama if it loses?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
And I think that would be very possible as well. I do think Alabama, if you look at a potentially, I guess, 11-2 SMU team and a 9-3 Alabama team, look at the strength of schedule. That's all you need to look at.
Yeah.
And who SMU would have beaten and who they would have lost to. A Clemson team that Georgia scrimmaged, and I say that on purpose. They scrimmaged them because that's what it looked like. And then, Louisville won at Clemson as well. And I know, the narrative everybody wants to put out there is, like I was on X last night debating this, because they want to talk about right now, South Carolina's better than Alabama right now. Well, actually, I don't even think they're better than Alabama right now. I think if Alabama played them even in Columbia, South Carolina, they'd whip their ass. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I didn't think South Carolina looked like a bunch of world beaters when they beat an average Clemson team the other day and had to score in the last minute. Everybody's acting like the South Carolina Gamecocks all of a sudden are the Pittsburgh Steelers because they feel sorry for the sad sacks because they've never won anything. Well, I'm sorry, they're not better than Alabama. They lost to Alabama during the season, and they got the hell beat out of them by Ole Miss. So shut up, go away, and come back next year and maybe get better, and maybe you make the playoff. You got a bright future, but the future ain't bright now. You're not better than Alabama. And you never were.
So he was
You beat
asked.
them in 2010 when you had a horseshoe up your butt and you got hot and won one game. I hope you recorded it, and I hope you watch it on a DVD every day because you don't beat the Tide much.
He was asked, Ward Manuel.
Call in and challenge me. I'll bury you.
He was asked last night in his to evaluate SMU relative to Alabama if SMU loses in the championship game. That's exactly what you were just referencing. Here is how Ward Manuel answered that question, how to evaluate SMU over Alabama.
My question is, how will you evaluate SMU relative to Alabama if SMU loses in the ACC championship game?
Andrew, that is something that we will decide in the room at the conclusion of those games when we evaluate what happens in the championship. I can't go into the future and tell you exactly how the outcome of that discussion will be. It depends on the outcome of the game and how it's played and the results themselves. And so we'll just have to wait and see how the committee is going to, analyze that game and, depending on the outcome, where things will go in terms of rankings and who and how people will move or will not move.
So is he saying that if the game is a blowout, if Clemson runs away with it, they're going to look at it? But you know what? A couple weeks ago, they said it doesn't matter what happens in conference championship games. They're not going to hold it against you, but it sounds like they're going to hold it against these teams that
they
are
have
playing
to.
on
Clemson's
Saturday.
already lost 3 games. If they lose a 4th, they have no chance in hell, and they know it.
Right.
I mean, it's on a case-by-case basis. Like I tried to tell another sad sack Auburn fan last night who was, pissed off that Alabama's got a chance to make the playoff. Look, Auburn is getting better. They will if they continue to improve, they will probably have a chance to make a run next year and get into the playoff. But what I'm trying to say is that, look, and this is what I said, and I said it on this show, Alabama probably shouldn't get in, but it's not their fault a bunch of other teams choked around them. Because if Miami had beaten Syracuse, for example, and only had 1 loss, then they would very likely be in, and Alabama would not, no matter what. But so many of these teams just choke down the stretch. I know Ohio State's still going to get in, but look what they did against Michigan. You had a chance to be, in the Big Ten championship game.
Should Ohio State drop? There was a lot of people upset the fact that Ohio State didn't drop more after losing to said Michigan.
Yeah, well, they dropped. They were in the top 2 teams in the country basically, and they dropped to 6. But you got to look at who they lost to based upon the rankings by the committee. They lost to they beat a 1-loss Indiana team, gave them their only loss.
Right.
And then they lost to Michigan, who isn't very good, but then they lost to Oregon, the number 1 team in the country, by 1 point on the road. So they've got a really good win over Indiana 38-15. It was pretty much a domination. And then they have a very narrow loss to Oregon. And then, and let's be honest, they did lose to Michigan, but they lost 13-10. So, they're 2 plays away from being undefeated. So I can see why the committee, and I'm just going by what the committee's value.
Right.
They've obviously valued the Big Ten the whole time. So,
they have.
And the way they value it, they think it's better than the SEC. So you look at it. That's why Ohio State is still in the top 6.
4 teams inside the top 9.
See?
For the Big Ten.
That's what I'm saying. So those 4 that we talked about separating themselves, the committee values very, very much. And so that's why Ohio State is still ranked as high as they are.
Well, obviously the sounding board went off in a big way. Dan Radakovich. Yeah, is the athletic director for Miami. And he took to X after the rankings came out last night. And this was his response to Miami falling behind Alabama. He says, really, ? What put Bama over the top of Miami for the last spot is that Miami went 1-2 in their last 3 games by an average 4.5 points to a ranked Syracuse and Georgia Tech team that just took Georgia to 8 overtimes. Bama went 2-1 to 5-7 Auburn, destroyed by Oklahoma, and beat FCS Mercer.
How many ranked teams did Miami beat?
That was their athletic director.
How many did they beat?
0.
Exactly. So go home. Go buy another player and choke on sauce again. You had a 21-0 lead, you pinhead, on the road at Syracuse, who isn't worth a crap, who if they were in the SEC would have 6 losses. And if Miami was in the SEC, Cristobal would already be bought out and fired. So go get a defense and learn how to play football. You're soft as, as church music. You're not any good. Go away. You had your chance and you choked. As always, Cristobal's good at that. All he can do is recruit. He can't coach his way out of a wet paper bag. Way to spend a bunch of money on a guy that's, an average head coach at best. You're never going to win a dadgum thing with the guy. Congratulations, Canes. You're a has-been program. You have been for years. You don't even have a stadium, you bunch of clowns.
And you got to bust people in, and they don't even show up.
Yeah, you're a year from last year. You brought 3 buses for the students, and nobody got on them. So I guess you went and picked up a bunch of illegals and helped Biden bring them in. Congratulations, numb nuts.
Let's get our first break in. When we come back, we'll get your reaction plus some national signing day updates. Alabama and Auburn. There's a lot of athletes putting pen to the paper. We'll explain it all and run it all down. Starting coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Had a couple of wrecks in Decatur this morning. First one was 20 eastbound at 12th Avenue. They've cleared it off the board. Now we got one on Wilson right in front of Leon Sheffield, reported with injuries, but Fire and Rescue says nobody's hurt there. 72 eastbound at Brock Road still working as well. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
From Coleman to Fayetteville and all points in between.
Son, pull the hammer back. Smokey's coming at you in a plain white wrapper.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. It is National Signing Day as well, so we're going to start blending some news and notes going in there. Just remember, today they are not and they will no longer be signing national letters of intent. Those are gone.
Right.
What they are signing today is financial aid agreements or grant of aids and a conference agreement. That is what they are signing today. Those national letters of intent, they've been signing those since 1964. But no longer. This is the first signing period that they've changed it, so we're no longer calling them national letters of intent. Both Alabama and Auburn, busy. We'll run down some of those names that have already signed here in a second. Let's visit the phone lines real fast. Mark from Spring Hill is with us. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Mark.
Hey, morning, guys. Jeff from the Borough. I just happened to be over here in Murfreesboro again, just at the same time.
Gotcha.
You know, it's Kentucky is nothing sucks like the big orange, and I'm gonna add another one, the big blue. You know, I'm sorry, I'm sure he doesn't have the courage to call in this show after his cat.
He's already on hold.
He's holding.
So give him credit for that.
Well, all right. I like to hear what the loser has to say on this one. But what I called in about is the winner of this committee, and what I love is that I think it was Reese Davis or someone was trying to, you know, get that guy stirred up last night on the committee about Alabama, and he answered it so well. If y'all were to play back that, it's unbelievable. They tried to justify anybody but Alabama, and the guy says, "Listen, Alabama's 3-1 against top 25 teams. Shut up." That's basically what he said. And so Alabama, I think, you know, the thing about Alabama, what's so solid is they really have the best resume in the field. It's just that they lost 3 games. They really do. Nobody can argue with that. Nobody. I mean, Oregon. If you put Oregon, have they beat 3 of the 3 top 25 teams? No, nobody's even close. Well, Georgia is the second best. So, you know, I feel good about Alabama, but my question I have for you guys though is this: they're going to have to get this thing tweaked, because what they've done is kind of like everybody gets a trophy. That's what we are in college football now.
You there, Mark?
You telling me?
Go ahead, man.
Okay, we're not getting the best 12 teams in. When we had the 4-team playoff, and you remember Herb Street ran off the set when Ohio State didn't get in, and what did Alabama do that year? Well, they won the national championship. So, you know, I just don't think I like the 12-team format. I wanted y'all's opinion on UNLV. They could beat Boise State, and you got a 21st ranked team in the playoffs. Come on, this thing is flawed.
Well, that's the Democratic way of doing the playoff, because they're giving a group of 5 team a shot, and Boise State has absolutely no chance unless they beat UNLV. Now, they do have the close loss to Oregon, who's undefeated and #1 in the country, and that's helping them right now. But they're undefeated in their league, but they've got to beat UNLV again. They beat UNLV during the regular season. UNLV doesn't have a case unless they beat Boise, and then if they beat Boise, then they would have won the league and split with them, and both teams would have 2 losses, but UNLV would get in. That's just the system we have. To be honest with you, what probably needs to happen is the Mountain West Conference needs to be in the group of 5. There needs to be a group of 5 championship, and they shouldn't even be in this tournament. But that's just the way it is right now. I do think that the field's going to expand to 14
16.
and then probably even 16 teams.
Yeah.
So it'll justify even more having a Boise State in there, but don't get it twisted. They're very rarely, if ever, going to win one game. And if they win one game, the next game is going to be 55-3, and then they're going to go home.
Mark says, hey, look, he doesn't like the way the system is constructed now. But if we had the BCS formula and you factored everything in, there really isn't much change.
Right.
Oregon is 1 in both. Texas is 2 in both. Notre Dame is 3 in the old BCS system. Penn State is 3. Notre Dame is 4. They just flip-flop. Georgia's still 5 in both. Ohio State is still 6 in both. SMU would be 7. Tennessee would be 8. They're 7 and 8 now, just reversed in the BCS. The only big difference, even Alabama is number 11 in the old BCS formula.
Say that again.
Alabama is 11th in the old BCS formula.
There you go.
They're 11th in the playoff formula. South Carolina would be 12. Miami is 12 in the playoff. Now, South Carolina was 12 in the BCS. Miami would be 13. That's the biggest difference.
Well, and here's my thing too. And I got through railing about how I think Alabama's better than Ole Miss and has a better resume, than Ole Miss and South Carolina. I say all that, and I think if Ole Miss had been consistent and played up to their talent level, at worst they should have been 11-1 and probably 12-0 considering how they handled South Carolina and Georgia. Because in those two examples, you see how good Ole Miss can be if they're locked in and playing well. Because they went to South Carolina and laid waste to the Gamecocks by 3 touchdowns.
Right.
They beat Georgia 28-10, but they weren't consistent enough, okay? Because I think on paper, Ole Miss had the best team in the SEC if they were playing well. I admit that. I've said it repeatedly. Okay. And then South Carolina, do I think they're better than Boise or UNLV? Absolutely. Do I think they beat Miami? Absolutely, I do. I think they're better than Arizona State. I mean, if you didn't have these automatic qualifiers, then South Carolina should be in. But this is the system we have.
Right.
And so right now, South Carolina is just on the outside edge looking in, but they have a very bright future, as I said on X last night. I mean, I'd vote Shane Beamer Coach of the Year, but everybody's wanting to compare Alabama, South Carolina, and Ole Miss because they don't think the SEC is going to get more than 4 teams in. Well, if you do that and you do it, of course, I got called, a bias because I was, giving Alabama's case and basically saying, I think Alabama has the best resume. And then I think they do because I don't care. Oh, but the last 6 weeks, South Carolina, that doesn't matter. Who cares? The whole body of work is what you have to evaluate. You don't evaluate the last 6 weeks. I mean, heck, man, if we listen to the idiot media, and we're part of the media, but we're not idiots like a lot of these folks, we would believe that Kamala Harris had a chance to be president of the United States when they lied to everybody.
Let's get in Pat from Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Pat.
Hey, man. Hey, it is great radio this morning. Wow, Drew DeArmond. Hey, and Drew, you're absolutely correct on all points. Hey, Scott, hey, you are sitting next to the man that ESPN is so lucky to have in radio because he knows more about recruiting. Only one that's even close to him is John Garcia Jr. Even close. Hey, but my question is Derek Meadows going to sign with Alabama and give me a 6 wide receiver that we haven't had? And Lord knows when.
Well, nobody can say 110% until somebody puts pen to paper. He's expected to sign today, Pat. Alabama looks like they are the favorite. I don't think Michigan believes they're out. LSU has still been working it, but I believe he's going to sign with Alabama at some point today. There's already been a handful of signees announced via the university, but like Scott said, it's not really of a letter of intent anymore. It's just a financial aid agreement, basically, is what they're agreeing to.
Yeah.
But it does look like that they're going to get Meadows. Now, they did lose Jace Clarizio as of last night. He had informed the coaching staff that he was flipping back to Michigan State. His father played there. His mother, I think, went there as well. He's from Lansing, so they only have one running back in the class right now. They're expected to sign A.K. Deere today. There was supposed to be no issues with that. So besides the fact that Ty Haywood is very likely not going to sign today and going to end up at Michigan or whatever other school hits him up with a huge NIL offer, probably Michigan, they would have to be the betting favorite right now. I think he wants to visit Ann Arbor in January. I think with Clarizio and Haywood, that's the only issues right now as far as guys that were committed yesterday afternoon, if you want to say it. And Haywood has not ever announced a public decommitment and may just end up signing with somebody in February. But, Alabama gave him a good NIL offer. They're not going to match what Michigan or another school is going to put out there. So very likely, if they need, if they feel like they need some help at offensive tackle, they'll probably address it in the transfer portal. And who knows, at running back, it's interesting because I was a little surprised they wanted to sign 2 backs, but I think there's going to be some attrition off Alabama's roster in the transfer portal. I would not be surprised there that leaves the program.
Jaleel Hurley
and Jaleel Hurley, the safety from Florence, he played corner and wide receiver at Florence High School. He is going to enter the portal. Kobe Prentice has entered the portal. So they're going to have some guys enter the transfer portal. I think they're going to add, 5 or 6 pieces from the portal as well. So again, but running back right now, when you think of, if Alabama had some attrition, they've still got guys. I'm not saying Jam Miller's going to turn pro. He may return. We'll see. And then you have Richard Young. You have Justice Haynes for now. You've got Daniel Hill, and I know they like Kevin Riley a lot, and then A.K. Deere. So they've got a lot of running backs. Running back is getting 2 in the class would have kind of been a luxury. So and again, Clarizio was only committed, I guess, about a week. I don't even know if it was that. So again, I think they believe they're going to hold on to the rest of the class, and so that would be big for Alabama. I think when all the dust settles, they'll be no worse probably than top 3, which I think is outstanding. So we'll see. And who knows, they may flip somebody today. You never know, because again, the Clarizio stuff didn't start breaking until, a little bit before midnight last night.
Yeah. And I just think it's fantastic to have a shot at Meadows, because there's not a whole lot of film on him from this past year. Not a whole lot.
He only had 24 catches because Bishop Gorman did, they were, dominating everybody. They won the state championship in Nevada. They played a great schedule, but, he didn't have a ton of opportunities, but when he did, he made a lot of plays.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. A 6'6" wide receiver. You can't coach that, Drew. Hey, you can coach it, but I was saying, you either got it or you don't. So I'm getting excited about that being able to flip him from LSU, because anything that we can rip out of the state of Louisiana is a great thing. All right, hey, you guys have a great day, and in Alabama, hey, we're gonna have to break the piggy bank, Drew. Right now the cheapest route is to go through Memphis to get up there. Because I looked at it last night. But them tickets, I don't have to get in price. It's going to be $1,500 to Notre Dame, and but it's on my bucket list and a destination. So I'm going to go one way or another if the creek doesn't rise.
Right, it would be a heck of a matchup for sure.
All right, thanks, Pat. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll run down some of the names that have already signed their grant of aids or financial aid agreements with both Alabama and Auburn. Plus your phone calls.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures going to be a little higher than they have been over the last couple of days. We should climb into the lower 50s. Small opportunity for a little bit of rain as we head into the later part of the evening through the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. It does look like the vast majority of us are probably going to stay dry. We're also going to be a little bit warmer through the overnight, and then as we head into the Thursday morning commute, temperatures dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s. Though we don't move much Thursday afternoon, a mostly to partly sunny sky, temperatures only climbing into the low and mid 40s, dropping into the lower 20s by the time we get to the Friday morning commute. A partly sunny sky Friday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the mid 40s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck in Decatur on Wilson near Leon Sheffield. Had a vehicle leave the road and hit a utility pole there. They've called for utilities to come take a look. It turned out to be a no injury. And we had 72 eastbound at Brock Road. I don't think that one was an injury type, so it should be out of the way pretty quick. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Allison lost nearly 100 pounds in 7 months on the plan. A free hormone quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The 2024 SEC Football Championship game.
Back to throw over the middle into the end zone. Gone! Touchdown! Loose on the turf. Longhorns have it. Ball game.
Join us Saturday in Atlanta as the Texas Longhorns and the Georgia Bulldogs fight for the SEC Championship.
And we are moments away. And as you might imagine, the energy level is super high.
Kickoff is at 3 on your home for SEC football, the SEC Radio Network.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hold your block until the whistle blows.
From SEC Media Days to the National Championship game.
This was a great team win.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. It is National Signing Day, and we're reacting to the college football playoff brackets, or not brackets, the rankings coming out last night. The final one will come out on Sunday. That is where we will have the bracket. But it is also National Signing Day. Athletes across the country are signing their financial aid agreements or grant of aids today, and a conference agreement. Early on, Alabama and Auburn have released for Alabama, Justin Hill, Ivan Taylor, Marshall Pritchett, Lotzier Brooks. Did I get that first name right there?
Yeah.
He has signed. Daryl Duke Johnson has signed. Luke Metz has signed. Those are the ones that have signed for Alabama. Hollis Davidson III, Ty Buster, John Allen McGuire, Khalil Ellis, Jacoby Ward, Jared Smith, and Ryan Gia have all signed for Auburn. Those are the ones that the school has released so far for both Alabama and Auburn that have signed.
Yeah, and Jared Smith's big for Auburn because I know they fought off, Ole Miss and South Kakalaki. Both of them were coming strong after him. He'll play in a state championship game tonight for the Thompson Warriors as they take on Central Phoenix City, trying to take their crown back. So we'll see. But that's a big get for Auburn. He transferred from Spain Park last year, spent this year at Thompson. So we'll talk to Jason Caldwell about that at 8 o'clock. And I know that'll be one of the big storylines, one of the big retentions for Auburn.
Yeah.
I think that as of last night, they still felt really good about just about everybody they had committed. They did lose there was a flip or two yesterday. And we'll talk with Jason about that. But again, look, they're still in there battling for Justice Terry. I mean, they're swinging big, so they definitely want to end up with the top 5 class themselves. I think they've got a very good chance to do that, and so but definitely a good morning so far for Auburn.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Jeff from the Borough is with us this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys? Who's that guy came through here? What's his name?
Going on the phone, Mark from Spring Hill.
Yeah, Mark.
Mark, the first thing at Christmas is such a pain to me is you coming through Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Now, just like Bob Rivers sings. All right. So you just go back to Memphis, wherever you need to go, but you can go through Nashville or somewhere or Clarksville. That's the first thing. It pains me you coming through Murfreesboro. So you be all right. Let's go back to Columbia, hang out there in Murray County, and go to Battle Creek High School somewhere. And I did see the rankings last night. It is what it is. I mean, don't have any automatic qualifiers in. Just go by when the last poll comes out, the top 12 teams, they're in the playoffs. Don't forget the conference championship games. P-bomb, just the top 12. The top 4 gets 5, 12, 6, and do it that way. Don't have no automatic. Don't have any conference championship games. And as far as the basketball game last night, Clemson made more plays late. If you look at the box score, the rebounds dead even, 44. Steals dead even. They made 3 more free throws and 1 more 3 than we did. Kentucky shot way too many threes. I've been talking about it since first. They shot 27. They missed.
So you did watch the whole game?
I watched. Well, I didn't watch it all, but I had to work.
Except for the ending. He missed the fact that Clemson stormed the court.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
You storm the court when you do beat somebody great, and you're not expecting to win.
Too bad the SEC, though, couldn't go 10-0 last night.
Yeah.
I was so hoping they'd go 10-0.
Yeah.
Well, when you beat Kentucky, you get court stormed. Okay.
Yeah.
Kentucky don't storm court because we win. When Kentucky,
well, you didn't win last night.
Well, yeah, I tell you, when Kentucky's opponents win, it's like when they were on probation last time, 30 years when Sutton and the team came in at UKIT and won. And Kaywood said, even though we're on probation, it still means something to beat Kentucky. See, like our flags players say, it's not what's on the back, it's what's on the front. That's why they hate you. That's why we're hated. And Scott, you do what you want, but in basketball, in the SEC.
Hey, Scott won last night with a 30-footer at the buzzer, by the way.
Who's that?
I did see that. I did see the headline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's that? We'll see what Auburn and Alabama do tonight. They're on the road.
Yeah, I mean they're going to both have tough matchups.
No, they
Jeff.
are. They are.
They're playing teams that are better than Clemson too, I
Well,
believe.
that's true. They're probably better than Clemson, but like you said, Clemson.
But Clemson is an underrated program.
And it's the biggest crowd they've had in 91 years. So, and there's a certain lady that's got a banner up in there, 33. That's probably that was on the best women's basketball team ever. So, I mean, they played well last night and beat us. We weren't going undefeated. So,
Nope.
see, if y'all beat Oregon and Purdue, you wouldn't be undefeated either. Losing at Purdue. Y'all need to hang it. So let's see what you do with Carolina.
Let me tell you something right now, Jeff. Kentucky would not win at Purdue right now, and they would not win at Oregon. I don't care what you say. Because Alabama's played a tough schedule. They're playing a tough game. Not that they may not win. They played a tougher schedule than Kentucky. Kentucky beat Duke, and Duke right now is a pretty good team. They're not a great team yet, and heck, Auburn may handle Duke. That's a huge game for Auburn.
Let's just say this. He had flag open against Kansas. What did the guy do? Throw it through three people and turn it over. So what's he learned? What does Flag learn from the Kentucky games? And now, Scott, what's he learned? You talk about these players learning. The Flag don't need to learn nothing. When you play at Montverde, you already know the college game. You ain't got to learn nothing when you come to college. Y'all have a good day. See y'all.
Well, as usual, I was right. He didn't watch the whole game. No, not since they lost to Clemson.
Justin is with us this morning. Good morning, Justin.
God, it's pollution every time I hear him call in.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
But well, I'll try to get it back on the sense meter. Back to the playoffs. These people that are complaining about Alabama having 3 losses and shouldn't be in. I've got news for all these people in a 12-team format moving forward. This is not Alabama's not in yet, obviously, but these people like to realize more times than not, when you have a bracket that is 12 teams or more, and you have such a parity, which is basically what college football has turned into now. I'd be willing to bet that there's going to be at least one team every year gets in this playoff with 3 losses.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Justin, I think that's accurate.
And another thing that they're talking about, well, they don't deserve it. People this, that, the other. Well, you guys know as well as I do. It don't matter what size the bracket is. It could be 4, 8, 12, 16, 32, whatever. Usually, for however many teams are in a bracket, there's about half of that field actually has a chance to win it, and the other half don't. And it's the same thing in college basketball, the 64-team tournament. About half the field, or maybe a little bit less than half of that field, actually has a chance to make the Final Four.
Right.
Agreed.
And the rest of them are just mop-up games, because you know as well as I do, if the playoffs started today, I can name you 6 teams that have 0 chance of winning the national championship. Indiana has no chance. Boise has no chance. Arizona State has no chance. Penn State, really, in my opinion, has no chance.
I think they're a fraud.
I would even go as far as to say Notre Dame has no chance of winning the national championship. So half the field every time in a bracket, depending on how many, they're not going to win it. But you're going to have to realize and get over the fact that undefeated, 1-loss, 2-loss teams are not going to fill up this entire bracket. You're going to have one, and in some cases, and moving forward, and I really believe this, you're going to have 2 teams with 3 losses.
Right.
And it's
no doubt.
People are just, and I don't get it. And I mean, they can say Alabama got a bias. Well, you just take Miami's resume, take Ole Miss's resume, take South Carolina, take Alabama's, strip the name off of it, throw them blind on a board, Same way you do in the NCAA tournament, whenever these people, these last 4 ends, whenever they do it, strip them and put them on a board and look at their resumes blind, and you tell me, SMU included, I'm including SMU too, throw them all on a board and you tell me who should be in. Just look at it from that perspective, and when you look at it, it's cut and dry. Even I don't care if Alabama lost by 104 points to Oklahoma. It does not matter. You just throw it on a board, you see it, and when you've won 3 ball games against teams that are ranked, and you got Miami who hasn't beat anyone, hasn't won a ball game, SMU even still has a chance. Oh, and I'll say this too, by the way, and you guys know how the ACC is.
Yep.
They did all they could. They did all they could to keep Miami undefeated for 3 straight weeks, giving them 3 ball games in a row with the Virginia Tech. They missed a blatant targeting penalty against Cal that would have ended that ball game. And then the fumble that they ruled an incomplete pass, which would have been a scoop score for Louisville, basically gave Miami 3 wins. They tried to keep them undefeated as long as they could until Miami just proved they sucked and they couldn't overcome how bad they were. You mark my words. Because ACC, I'm telling you, they're as crooked as any league if there is. They'll do they know they got one team in. Clemson will win that ball game because they'll make sure Clemson wins that ball game because that's the only chance they have of getting 2 teams in.
Well, and look, I'll be honest with you, Justin. I've said this before. Even if it happens, if you look at the strength of schedule and the quality wins and everything, with 2 losses, SMU does not match up with Alabama.
Oh, they don't. I agree with that too. But all I'm saying is the way I look at it, the ACC knows that's their only chance of getting 2 teams in, and it's still. They would, and even the ACC still would rather have Clemson in that playoff than SMU because who's a bigger brand name?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's what I think, and because ACC has proved that they will roll out the red carpet if they want to keep somebody to have their chances of staying in a chance to win a national championship just for revenue.
Yeah.
They've proven that more than any league in the country.
Thanks for the call, Justin. Yeah. And there's some people out there, Drew, that'll say this SEC did the same thing this past weekend with Georgia and Georgia Tech.
Well,
that they missed several calls in that game to help Georgia stay.
There were some questionable calls, but guess what? If my man Haynes King just holds on to the ball and doesn't
targeting
fumble
there.
it,
People say that was targeting. The referees missed the call.
You can call targeting every flipping tack. I'm so sick of hearing that. You could call it every time. And when I saw it, I didn't think it was targeting. Because look, when you're going low and you're going in like that, it's contact. Okay, that's why you wear a helmet. Now, was it I thought it was 100% targeting when the Miami Cal game because the guy went up high.
Yes.
But this was going low. Haynes King's trying to stay low. Hold on to the football. And I like Haynes King. He's a heck of a competitor. But hold on to the ball. It's first down. You're 1 first down away from friggin' running the clock out. Don't fumble the football.
True.
Heck, that's the bottom line. And like I said, man, Alabama could have easily already been eliminated. All these teams had their opportunities, and they act like it's a conspiracy every time Alabama gets in. Alabama, with Greg Byrne, they play challenging out-of-conference schedules. They don't play a bunch of, sad sacks on their schedule. They try to play good people. Okay, they started planning this before Nick Saban retired a few years ago, before they even knew that the playoff was going to expand. And it's not their fault. Wisconsin ended up not being a great football team, very far from it.
Right.
But they beat them very impressively, and they're going to play Florida State. Oh, I know, Florida State stinks right now. They do stink. But when they scheduled it, they were, they were in the middle of a 19-game winning streak last year. And then every year is different. Florida State would have made an expanded playoff last year if they had one, but they didn't make the 4-team playoff because their quarterback got hurt. That's just the way it is. And by the time you saw them in the ACC championship game in one of the most pathetic awful, horrendous.
Yes.
Just games of football you could ever watch. Florida State still won, even without said quarterback, but it was brutal football, and you could tell they weren't one of the best 4 teams in the country after the injury. And I hated it for Florida State. I'm not anti-Florida State, but it was just a fact. Alabama deserved to be in the playoff last year too, and if things fall their way this weekend, there's a very high probability they're going to be in again.
Oh, Tim Brando weighing in on all of this
with his purple shirt,
saying, love this analogy from the College Football Playoff Committee. Suddenly, Alabama having a stronger schedule with 3 losses is suddenly more credible. I'm shocked.
Well, you know what I'm shocked at? I'm shocked at every tweet, Tim Brando, like 75% of them from the toupee-wearing fool is always about Alabama. He can't talk about anybody but Alabama. All he ever talks about is Alabama because he grew up in Louisiana and had his ass whipped his entire life by Alabama because he grew up an LSU fan. They lost to Alabama. He got in the broadcast business. They were still losing to Alabama. And then he said that Alabama would never be back. They hired Nick Saban, and then they got their heads caved in again by Alabama. And he was in the stands wearing a purple shirt in 2011 when he thought LSU was going to be the greatest, SEC team of all time because he shot his mouth off and said it. And then, Scott, did they ever pass midfield? I want to ask that question.
No, I was there.
Yes, they did not. What was the score again?
A lot to nothing.
21-0. They got their ass whipped. And so I think he's still got PTSD from that as well. And then, of course, he's talked his way into oblivion, is now on Fox, and nobody even watches him, just like the Democratic National Convention.
Let's get our break in, wrap up hour 1 coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Sounds like we got a wreck coming in on Old Madison Pike near Research Park. No report of injury. And we got a wreck in Decatur. Wilson in front of Leon Sheffield School. Got a vehicle that's hit a utility pole there. Still may be trying to clear 72 eastbound at Brock Road, but it should be about ready to go. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor at Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
You need a lawyer and pick up the phone. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. When you call for a lawyer, where does that phone ring? It might be in a call center somewhere, maybe 100 miles away, but my phone rings in my office.
The Lackey Law Firm.
I'm attorney Justin Lackey. My phone rings in my office too.
So does mine. I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. And when you've been hurt and need help, we're here. We're the ones who take your call.
And get what you deserve.
You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And this is the most important part. We'll treat you like family because that's exactly what we are.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977ESPN.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Little rubber band man there. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the show on a Wednesday morning. A Wednesday morning that sees us kind of combined the next to last college football playoff rankings and National Signing Day all in one. If you are paying attention to 24/7 sports, right now Georgia has the number one class, followed by Alabama and Ohio State. If you look at the on-3 rankings, right now Alabama has the number one class, followed by Georgia, Texas, and then Ohio State. Auburn right now, according to On3, sitting at number 5 in the recruiting rankings. They are sitting at number 5 according to the 24/7 sports rankings. That is what we have right now. We ran down a list of some of the names that have already signed their financial aids or their grants of right or whatever we want to call them now, grant of aids. More players have signed. London Simmons has signed for Alabama. That one is in there, as is Micah, a.k.a. the Big Ticket DeBose.
Yeah, Theodore High School, formerly from Viger, played most of his career at Viger High School, transferred this year to Theodore to play for Steve Mask, who, of course, was in our community at one time at Buckhorn High School. Won multiple state championships, Hall of Fame run at St. Paul's. But, yeah, Micah's very likely to project inside at guard. He's a really good player. One of the few in the state of Alabama that the Tide was able to procure. Auburn, they signed the majority of the top 15 prospects in state and did a great job recruiting the state of Alabama. And that's one thing we're going to discuss with Jason Caldwell here in a few minutes.
Steve Pierre Bolo. How do you say that last name?
Well, I call him Steve Buamua. He's from Southwest Mississippi JUCO, I believe.
He's in as well.
Yeah, he signed last year with Alabama, and he's a Canadian, just like Justin Oronquo, who signed, who is a true freshman linebacker at Alabama this year. But again, Steve had to go the JUCO route for a year, and then has now signed with the Tide. He's one of the few defensive linemen that Alabama is expected to sign in this class. Probably going to sign 2 and then attack the transfer portal.
All right, we'll get a recap of who has signed for the Auburn Tigers. What's the day going to look like for Hugh Freeze?
Looking good so far.
There's some big names. Obviously, the quarterback spot is one that will that financial aid agreement get signed? We'll fill you all in on the Auburn Tigers coming up next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This Action Update is brought to you by G-Bank. Earn cashback rewards on every eligible gaming transaction. VSiN.com/G-Bank.
It's college football championship week in the Mountain West. Number 11, Boise State by 4 against number 22, UNLV. ACC, number 9, SMU is a 2.5-point favorite against number 12, Clemson. Big 12, number 16, Arizona State by 2 against number 18, Iowa State. In the SEC, the Texas Longhorns by 2.5 against number 7, Georgia. Texas, number 3 in the nation. Big 10, number 1, Oregon by 3.5 against number 4, Penn State. For the MAC championship, Miami of Ohio is a 2.5-point favorite against Ohio. Oregon's the plus 350 favorite to win the national championship. Ohio State and Texas both plus 425. That's the VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It is hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the program on a Tuesday or a Wednesday morning. It has been a fast, and I mean a fast-moving first hour. Sportsman Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. If you got something going on, they can get you in and out fast as well. And to get you back on the air and listening to Talking Ball here on 97.7 ESPN Zone, 256-881-5151. Experience that SportsMed difference. It is National Signing Day. The Auburn Tigers have been busy already this morning. Hugh Freeze expecting another big day. As we mentioned, going to break, they're sitting right now both at On3 and on 24/7. They're both, Auburn is sitting at number 5 right now, behind Texas, Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia, but they could move up even more before the day is all said and done.
No, I mean, it's so far been a great morning for Auburn. It should be a great day. I'll actually be surprised if they don't have a top 5 class overall, and then you stack that with the top 10 last year, and their talent level is going to start improving exponentially. And that doesn't even count the transfer portal, which I think Auburn, and we'll ask our next guest about it, but I think that what you could say that they're going to be even more aggressive than they were a year ago, and probably wiser. I think they learned a lot from some of the mistakes they made last year in the portal. Now, I think the signing class was really good. You saw a lot of those cats playing a ton the second half of the season. It's why Auburn looked so much better, why a lot of people thought the Iron Bowl might go a little differently than it did this past Saturday. They've got a lot of those guys coming back. And again, there's been some flips, but there's going to be flips in every class. But they just got a signature from a huge commitment that we talked about, and we're going to talk to Jason about that next. He's in his 25th year covering the Auburn Tigers, and to me, one of the reasons I admire him so much is he does so much legwork. Like, he goes and sees these recruits face-to-face, in person. He'll probably be at the Super 7 this week in Birmingham, and he usually always is. And whenever I go, I always see him there. But we're going to talk some Auburn recruiting and football and even a little hoops with this huge opportunity for Bruce Pearl tonight with Jason Caldwell for a few minutes now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Jason, good morning.
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Good.
Doing good.
I'm just going to start off right away because it was a war, and it is. And I was watching you and Christian Clemente a couple of days ago, and you were talking about how unpredictable recruiting is now, even more so than ever with this transfer portal and the NIL and everything. But so far, a good morning for Auburn, and to win that Jared Smith battle is huge, I think.
Yeah, no, it's it's always difficult when you get towards the end of a recruiting cycle, but there's so much unknown in what we're dealing with now. When you think about sometimes some of the money that's involved with schools, the way things are done, it's like you never know. Because I'm telling you, if I was 18 years old and somebody said, "Hey, I got an extra couple of $100,000 I'm willing to give you," that would sway my decision. I'm pretty sure it would.
Yeah.
So it's hard, but yeah, Jared Smith, that's a big one. When you think about Auburn doesn't have a guy like that right now. Now, I kind of liken him to Keldrick Falk.
Wow,
I think
yeah.
Jared will be a guy that's more of a stand-up guy in year one, but I think he has that same potential, a guy that's just going to grow into that body even more. When you add that physical side of things, the athleticism's there for a guy that was a former basketball guy. And so, yeah, to get him on board was definitely a big one.
He is announcing at 10:30 this morning. Where does Auburn stand with Naheem Alford?
I think they've made up a whole bunch of ground in the last 6 months or so, really since about June when he took an official visit. Since then, Auburn's been trending in a really good direction. Can you get over the hump? That's the thing. Can you get over the hump? It feels like Auburn is in a good spot, but until you get there, you never really know. I know that they have continued to make in-state recruiting a huge priority, and it's shown up in this class. If you were to add Naeem Alford, and I think there's still a potential for maybe even a Zion Grady at Enterprise. I mean, you do something like that today, and I think you would have cemented yourself as a top 5 class. And boy, it'd be a big step. But yeah, Neem Offer, I think Auburn's right there. Ohio State obviously is tough to beat out, but I think Auburn has done a good job in giving themselves a great shot.
And so, I've been, of course, following the Naheem Offord, recruitment, and it's been really the last month or so. It's really the heat's been turned up about Auburn having a good chance to flip him from Ohio State. Now, I have not heard the Zion Grady stuff. Really, that had been kind of quiet. So you're saying there is a chance today potentially that Auburn might pull that flip off?
I think there's been some discussions and talk. And if you're Auburn, if you're everybody else, you better circle back around at the end to just about everybody, because you don't know.
Yeah.
We saw Auburn lose Nate Marshall yesterday. And
that's right. That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
And then you start talking about what kind of door does that open up potentially, going, hey, here's a spot. If you're there. And so I think that's one that, we'll see if that happens. I do think there has been some talk, and so we'll see if that's something that could happen down the road later today. I think theirs happens actually in just a little bit. So I'm actually heading to Opelika right now for Malik Autry, and
cool.
To see him finish things off today. Big defensive tackle from Opelika, but Zion Grady's one at least to pay attention to see what happens today.
Yeah, I mean, I always wondered because he committed to Ohio State, kind of surprised some people. He had been committed to Alabama, then Nick Saban retired. But yeah, I mean, and Eric Winters, his teammate, is going to be an Auburn Tiger.
Love his game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I made a comparison, and I'm doing a comparison story today, going guys that these players remind me of, and it's just not Auburn guys. So I've gone like, hey, who do I think? Because Jacoby Ward, who they signed recently, offensive lineman from Savannah, I compared him to Chase Warmack. I think he's a road grader kind of guy, and so for some of these guys, it's like, hey, this is top of the rung. But when I did Eric Winters, I said, look, I think it's Derwin James type of guy. And so you look at that athleticism, could play about 5 different positions, could play offense, and so you start looking at it, and this is kind of, hey, here's what this guy could be. And so people can check that out as we kind of update it throughout the day. But Eric Winters is one I love his game, and I think he's going to be a great player.
A little after 9 o'clock, Deuce Knight is expected to sign. And I mean, I know Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, they've put on the pressure as of late. He was there at the Egg Bowl on Friday. Is this still on track to sign with Auburn?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, until you get there, until you get to that moment, you never know. But it still feels, Auburn still feels good. I thought for me that the moment was that when he came back for the Louisiana Monroe game. He had a playoff game the night before in Mississippi, and was in Auburn for an 11:45 kickoff against Louisiana Monroe. And so when I saw that and saw him in the stadium, to me that just sent a signal that, hey, if there was some questions and some concerns, that might be a game where you just kind of take the day off. And he showed up, and so that showed me, I thought that Auburn was in a good spot. We'll see today if that was true.
And then it looks like they are still in a good spot for Antoine Fagans. I know they've had him committed for several months now. Alabama made a late run, but I know according to you and Christian's intel, and I know you're close to the family, that you still felt really good about Auburn's spot.
Yeah, I do. Antoine Fagans, like I said, I think you look at some of the connections. Obviously, having Charles Kelly at Auburn is a huge deal, I think, for Auburn's chances. But him and Sylvester Smith have known each other a long time. Braden Joyner, there's some guys that he really knows, and obviously former teammate and safety, duo Caleb Harris is a guy that I think is going to be a freshman All-American this season. And those guys will be reunited as well. So I think those connections are probably things that and then just had 2 teammates that have already signed with Auburn as well, and we mentioned Jared Smith, but also John Allen McGuire's punter. So I think all those things lead me to believe that Auburn hangs on to Antoine Fagans.
Yeah, no question, and I think that would be a big one for Auburn. And if Deuce Knight goes ahead and signs with the Tigers, does this mean 1 portal QB or 2? Because I know they'd like to go out and get a starter, and I know they want to develop Deuce.
Yeah, I think you probably one portal guy. If you can go get a guy that you feel like is a guy that can bridge the gap to Deuce, Walker White, those young guys, but a guy that comes in and can kind of pick up where you left off offensively this year. I do think that you're looking for a guy that can make some plays with his legs. I think that when we saw Peyton Thorne do some of those things, I think you'd like to have even more of that with your next guy, a guy that can be a little bit more of a runner and do some of that stuff too. So we know there's going to be a lot of options in the portal. We've already seen a bunch, and it hasn't even opened yet. And so I think when you look at it, next week and those next couple of weeks are going to be pretty crazy too.
No question. And I'm going to tell you what, after seeing him in person, and Jason, you got to see him play every game. I think in the portal era, probably Keandre Lambert-Smith is the best player that I've seen Auburn bring in. That we've been ranting and raving all week about how, James Franklin will let him get away from Penn State, but he was tremendous. I think he's a 10-year pro. Certainly he's a big loss for Auburn, as is Jarquez Hunter. Do you what about the receiver class? Because we knew this one for Auburn after last year's was off the charts, would be a little smaller. Do you expect them to attack the portal at wide receiver again?
Yeah, I think you'll see them go after a couple of guys. I mean, you're losing some older guys.
Yeah.
You're still going to have mostly all freshmen. Camden Brown goes in the portal yesterday. I think Caleb Burton probably goes in the portal as well. He didn't play much at the end of the year. So you're going to have a group of second-year guys. And so I think when you start talking about that, I think probably a couple of portal guys, just for nothing else, that you're going to need those guys. And then obviously bring in Derek and Eric Smith and do some of those things too. So, but I would expect just that there'll be some portal guys there. Running back, we'll see. If you get Usman Chroma today, if you were to flip a guy like that, then I think you're probably in pretty good shape. But if not, then I would expect them to probably go try to get a portal guy. So.
And then finally, what your overall thoughts on the class? Is there a position that you feel like Auburn will have to address in the portal because they fell a little short, or do you think it's as balanced as it needed to be? I know it's as good a class as Auburn signed it, and as long as I've been following recruiting, it looks like on paper anyway.
Yeah, no, it's a class that has a lot of upside. I think this is a class that fills a bunch of needs, and they haven't signed the offensive lineman, defensive lineman, done some of those things as much. And this class, they're going to have, a good group of both of those. And so you're still going to need some portal guys, early guys to play like a tackle, offensively and defensively especially. But I think overall, this is a class that will continue, like you said, it's about building a roster and becoming more talented, and this will be another step in the right direction.
No question. Well, Jason, we appreciate it, man. One real quick thought, though. I mean, and it's hard to put it at the very end because it's such a great opportunity for Auburn. This may be the best college basketball team in the country, but your thoughts on going to Cameron Indoor Stadium?
Yeah.
Yeah, we buried that one.
Yeah, we had to bury it.
Because with everything going on.
Hey, I mean, it's Nathan King that works for us, the Huntsville kid there from Buckhorn, he is in North Carolina. We'll be there tonight. We'll be here doing signing day and then heading to Birmingham this afternoon. But you're right, it's one of the biggest basketball games in the country, and one of the bigger basketball games in Auburn history in terms of notoriety. And you're right, it doesn't get a ton of attention today, but I think I think this is as difficult a game as you could have. And this Auburn team has played really well, but going to Cameron Indoor and winning there against a really talented team, probably the number one overall pick in Cooper Flagg. I mean, this will be a challenge, win or lose. This is just another opportunity to put Auburn basketball out there on the map. And for this team, it's another opportunity to get prepared for life in a brutal SEC. So it should be fun.
It will be fun. Jonai Broom and Cooper Flagg. That's great theater. Well, let everybody know how to follow you today, Jason. I know you're going to be on the road. I knew you'd be at the Super 7, and you're, of course, at Malik Autry's signing ceremony. He's been a long-time Auburn commitment, but let everybody know how to follow you.
Yeah, check us out at auburnundercover.com, part of the 24/7 network. Follow me on Twitter at ITATJ.
Thank you for the time, sir.
Thanks, Jason.
Appreciate it.
Let's get a break in. When we come back, we will talk a little basketball, plus give you some more signing day updates. It's all going on. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still seeing some slowdown in Decatur along Wilson. Had a wreck around Leon Sheffield School. Had a vehicle hit a utility pole there. May still be trying to wrap that one up. And we had one reported Research Park and Old Madison Pike. That one came in as a no injury. And a stall vehicle reported 431 in Sutton Road. That one apparently has now been moved. The cooler temps are here. Don't get caught without heat. D&L Refrigeration can check that system before it's too late. Discount for military, law enforcement, and seniors. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go Higher and go Army.
Lots of wise and well-informed car buyers wait all year long for this time of year because they know year-end deals are worth the wait. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. We've got 700 Fords for you to choose from. And if you've had your eye on a 24 F-150, Explorer, Expedition, or Escape, listen up. Come and see us at Woody Anderson Ford today, and you'll drive home with no payments for 90 days, plus get financing as low as 1.9% for 60 months and $1,000 in bonus cash. This is good, and it bears repeating. Come get your best year-end deal on a 24 F-150, Explorer, Expedition, or Escape, and you'll keep your cash for the holidays and make no payments for 90 days. You'll also get financing as low as 1.9% for 60 months. Plus, we're going to throw in $1,000 holiday bonus cash. The year end is here, and we've got the deals that make it worth the wait. With your good credit, these offers end December 31st, only at Woody Anderson Ford. I'm Bobby White, and I hope to see you soon.
No other radio station in Alabama has two voters for the Heisman Trophy.
Winner of the Heisman Memorial Trophy is...
Listen to Steve Moulton and Scott Tyson. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. It's your National Signing Day. It's your college football playoff rankings. It's your basketball preview show. Like I said, we had 120 minutes to do this extravaganza, and we are trying to get everything in, and Auburn had just got it.
Yeah.
Anquan Fagans.
Signed with Auburn.
He has officially signed that financial aid agreement, and conference agreement has been signed.
Mm-hmm.
So he is in. Again, a little after 9, Deuce Knight is expected to sign. And as you heard Jason Caldwell just say, he does still expect him to sign with Auburn, despite a late push from Ole Miss. We are keeping an eye on everything that is going on with Alabama as well. And London Simmons was the last one that the school put out there 43 minutes ago. So he is the last one to have signed with Alabama. Around here, the area, it's a big day for a lot of local high school athletes. Chandler Vaughn from Bob Jones, he has put his name on a financial aid agreement to go to Austin Peay. So that is one that is in the books from local. There's more. There's going to be a lot more today, but that's just one so far that is in the books.
Yep. And happy for that young man getting the chance to play college football. But like you said, the signatures coming in for Alabama and Auburn, that's the two we've been focusing on in state. We'll talk a little wrap up with Tennessee tomorrow with Matt Ray of the VolQuest on 3. He's going to join us. He's a really good dude. And Tennessee going to have a good day today. I think they're expecting to sign a top 10 class and then hopefully losing the playoff.
Were you shocked that Ole Miss did flip Caleb Cunningham and he is signed with Ole Miss?
Not really. I mean, he continued to visit Ole Miss even after he was committed to Alabama, and he visited a lot of schools, and it's why Alabama's worked so hard on trying to get Derek Meadows. And I think Alabama will very likely get Derek Meadows' signature later in the day. And again, most of the hay will be in the barn with this stuff by the middle of the afternoon. But again, no, Caleb Cunningham was not a shock that he flipped. To be honest with you, Clarizio wasn't a super shock. I mean, I was kind of surprised he flipped as fast as he did, considering he was a legacy to Michigan State. And I thought Harry Dalton from Dinwiddie, Virginia, might be the guy that was the second back in the class and would flip from USC. But as far as we know, he's probably very likely still going to sign with the USC Trojans today. But again, Alabama's got a loaded running back room. That's not a huge need, especially when later today, I believe Alabama will get the signature of A.K. Deere from Quitman, Mississippi. He was their top running back target the entire time. But again, it's a numbers game, and we'll see what Alabama loses in the portal. But I think, to be honest with you, if they do lose a running back, I think, even if it were a guy like a Justice Haynes, if he goes into the right. Because I've kind of felt like the whole time, to be honest with you, that there was a chance that he might go into the portal. We don't know. But, I mean, if you look at his workload, like the Iron Bowl told me a lot. I mean, they gave Jam Miller 28 carries, 28, and only 7 to Justice Haynes, even though he got a touchdown. You still got a 5-star like Richard Young who has shown some flashes. You still have the Daniel Hills of the world, the Kevin Rileys, and you have A.K. Deere. There's still a lot of guys, a lot of running backs. And, I don't think Alabama will address, the running back in the portal. I don't think that they really need to. But when there was a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs out there a few years ago, they went and got him from Georgia Tech, and that worked out beautifully. So, again, we'll see.
All right, coming up tonight, you do get the ACC, SEC, Big Ten challenge, or it was the Big Ten ACC challenge for years. Now it's just the ACC, SEC challenge. Last night, 9-1. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning. Alabama and Auburn both in action tonight. And you know what? If you wanted to, you could make the drive to see both. Now you would have to leave probably towards the end of the Alabama game to get to the Auburn game
to do it
in time.
Yeah.
Or you could be late to the
What a
Auburn
trip,
game.
Man.
Yeah, you could forget Alabama, North Carolina, Duke, Auburn. Here's Nate Oates real fast on tonight's matchup.
To Carolina this afternoon. We've had 2 really good games with them the last 2 years. Neither one of them have been a home or away game, though. They've both been neutral site games. We were fortunate to get two close wins. I think they're both 2-point games, so I'm sure they'll be more than ready for us. They're obviously a really good program. They got one of the better backcourts in the country. They're averaging almost 50 points amongst those 3 starting guards they've got. So we're going to have to be significantly better, on our offensive side. We got to take care of the ball. I thought we had a major problem in Vegas turning the ball over. And it cost us the game against Oregon with way too many in the first half and some costly ones late. Then defensively, we're nowhere near where we need to be. So
that's Nate Oates. Here is Bruce Pearl. The Auburn Tigers will take on Duke.
A lot of responsibility comes with all the notoriety. We get an opportunity to go play one of the best teams in the country, probably in one of the toughest environments. If you talk about Auburn and Duke, both teams are really good this year, but one thing we have in common is we both play in very intimidating places. Cameron Indoor Stadium is probably the most famous home court advantage in college basketball, and Neville Arena certainly has become that. Duke is they're a very talented team. They're very deep. Just looking at the guys, some of the guys that are on their bench were, 5-star McDonald All-Americans, going to be great players and just waiting their turn, because the guys that get out there are terrific, and for Duke to be playing this well, this early with this young a team is a credit to their coaching staff.
Both coaches, it's a statement night tonight for both Alabama and Auburn, and a chance to laminate what was a very successful night last night for the conference.
Yeah, no question. I mean, last night was nearly perfect if it wasn't for Kentucky. They would have been 10-0, but it has a chance to be a landslide. It already has been so far. A credit to all those teams last night. South Carolina going on the road to Boston College and laying waste to them. Coach Cal in Arkansas bouncing back and beating Jim Larinaga in Miami in a really competitive, good ball game. LSU beating Florida State, coming back and getting that done in the Maravich Assembly Center. That was big. So it's been a great, first day last night for the SEC. But, Carolina and Duke are still their bell cows in the league. And Auburn and Alabama have a great opportunity tonight to showcase themselves and get a big win in that doubleheader.
The college football playoff rankings have been a hot topic this morning, as is National Signing Day. Lane Kiffin weighing in on the rankings via the X, saying, and then I quote, "You guys actually met for days and come up with these rankings. Do you actually watch the quality of players, teams, and road environments, in parentheses, we played in one of yours this year, or just try to make the ACC feel relevant? By the way, one of your teams paid us not to play again next year." That would be Wake Forest. "Same number 12 spot. You guys had Clemson ranked last week. How do you go against the SEC? Rewatch the Georgia Clemson closely if you want a reminder of the two conferences. Hashtag spot the ball anywhere at ACC football. Hashtag remember take a knee."
I don't care about ACC football. I could care less. Really, ACC basketball sucks right now, too. If they didn't have Duke and Carolina, they'd just be in the toilet.
Best wins for Miami at Louisville and Duke. Best wins.
That'd be good for basketball, not so good for football.
The SP rankings for Miami, by the way, is 10th. The double-digit wins, Miami is 7. The average scoring margin for victory is Miami at 17.8. And wins handed by replay officials, 2.
Yeah, Luther Campbell was the replay official, obviously.
You can't make half of this stuff up.
No, you can't.
I mean, coaches and ADs and everything took to X last night like a wildfire going through California.
Of course they did.
I mean, it was just crazy. Everybody.
What's the commissioner of the ACC's name? Is that Jim Phillips?
It used to be. I think that, is it still him?
I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's Otis Campbell.
We got to get a break in. I know Rod Nior is going to join us next because we got to talk a little Alabama football recruiting. Names are coming in, and we'll break them all down and who's to come and how good will this class end up being for Alabama. Rod Nior helps us out.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly to mostly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures going to be a little higher than they have been over the last couple of days. We should climb into the lower 50s. Small opportunity for a little bit of rain as we head into the later part of the evening through the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. It does look like the vast majority of us are probably going to stay dry. We're also going to be a little bit warmer through the overnight, and then as we head into the Thursday morning commute, temperatures dropping into the upper 30s and lower 40s. Though we don't move much Thursday afternoon, a mostly to partly sunny sky, temperatures only climbing into the low and mid 40s, dropping into the lower 20s by the time we get to the Friday morning commute. A partly sunny sky Friday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the mid 40s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Still showing some slow traffic along Highway 20 or Wilson in Decatur, right around Leon Sheffield School. They've cleared it off the board, but I'm still seeing slowdown there. Research Park southbound at Old Madison Pike. I think it's actually on Old Madison Pike, though. That one came in as a no injury. Shoals Scholar Dollars. Legends in Concert Series is bringing Grammy Award winner Pam Tillis to UNA on January 26th. Tickets are available at shoalscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977ESPN.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Ho, ho, ho! Bob Baumhauer here. Need a stocking stuffer for this Christmas? We've got you covered at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Surprise everyone in the house this year as they empty their Christmas stockings to find our popular gift cards. Now, through December 24th, you'll receive a $5 bonus card with every $25 gift card purchase. So put a Christmas smile on everyone's face with these great stocking stuffers. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food. Merry Christmas!
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. A lot of kids getting pocketfuls of cash today. I'm just saying. There's a lot of people. Alabama, the names keep coming in. Keelan Russell has signed his financial aid agreement and conference agreement as well.
Yeah, and he's probably the centerpiece of this class. 5-star quarterback from Duncanville High School, arguably the best quarterback in this class, along with Bryce Underwood, who went for big bags of cash to the Michigan Wolverines. We'll say, but yet they're going to sign Bryce Underwood, but I guess he'll choose the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Scott, because they fired him yesterday, even though they beat Ohio State.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
there you go. But we're going to talk Alabama football recruiting with our next guest, who since 1996 has been the preeminent source. It's always an honor to contribute to TiderInsider.com. And on this day, it's always great to talk to Rodney Orr, and he's carved out some time for us. Rodney, good morning.
Good morning, Drew, Scott. What's going on, guys? You doing all right?
We're doing all right.
No shortage of
perfect
stuff to
time
talk
for you
about
to come
today.
on as Keelan Russell has made it official, Rodney.
Yeah. He's certainly the number 2 overall prospect in the country, according to 247. What a dramatic jump he's taken. And I can give you a story on him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind sharing it.
Absolutely.
I got a source in Dallas who this has been back in the spring. This is when Keelan was committed to SMU. And the guy had lunch with Kalen DeBoer, who was out there for some sort of a function. And of course, this guy's an Alabama fan. He said, "Coach, we're going to get us a quarterback." And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I think so." He said, "This kid committed to another school here in this area." And he said, "Can't tell you his name." He said, "But he might be the best high school quarterback I've ever seen."
Wow.
And certainly the best high school quarterback prospect potentially he had ever seen. And the guy said, "Are you talking about Keelan Russell?" And of course, DeBoer looked at him with a blank stare, like, "How did you know?" But certainly didn't confirm it. But
yeah,
the point is, DeBoer pinpointed him a long time ago, knew about him, obviously, extremely high on him. You look at what he's done there. He plays in a top-notch program. Duncanville's won back-to-back state championships. They've got the third in a row kind of in their sights right now. He's thrown for nearly 4,000 yards this year, 52 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, great height. I mean, you look at him, a lot of people compare him to Jaden Daniels, and I see that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also see some Bryce Young in him, the way he can scramble out and keep his eyes down the field and make throws. And I know Jaden Daniels could do that, but just some of the plays you see on film, it remind you of some of the plays that Bryce made. So again, not to overhype him, which we've probably already done, but I think he's an outstanding prospect and obviously a huge pickup.
Yeah, it's a pickup though that fits the quarterback fits the style of play that Kalen DeBoer wants to go with.
Exactly. He's a passer first. A lot of people ask that. A lot of people ask, yeah, are we talking about a kind of a, no offense, but are we talking about a project like Milroe in terms of teaching him how to play quarterback? No, he's a guy that's played in the system. He knows how to. He's got the ability to read a defense, see the field, all of those different things. In other words, he grew up as a passer first, but he can run.
He really can. And at one point, I haven't checked the stats in the last week or two. I think he had 45 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Yeah, Drew, I think he's actually I think that stats on the interceptions was wrong.
Okay.
I think he's thrown 1 or 2 this year, but he has thrown 52. I think it's up to 52 touchdowns now. He's having a big year, obviously. And again, they play in a very competitive area.
Mm-hmm.
They play the best talent in the state of Texas. And, we know that at Texas football, there's a lot of great players, a lot of great competition. So, certainly looking forward to seeing him here. And I saw him, I guess, when he was signing, it was on Instagram this morning, and Ryan Williams joined him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's good. All you Alabama fans out there keep texting me and asking about, is Ryan Williams coming or going or staying or whatever. I think, Ryan's really involved in this recruiting.
Yeah, he really is.
That's sad, though, isn't it, Ronnie? That's Ryan Williams, he had a phenomenal freshman year, and we're having to ask if he's staying or going after the end of the season.
Yeah, and I say that, too. Let's be clear. That's unfortunate because it makes Ryan – I want to be clear about that.
Yes.
It's not Ryan. It's just people speculating because of the nature of where we are, right?
Yes, yes.
It's not Ryan necessarily, although, again, he's probably fielded or people close to him have probably fielded, no telling how many offers already. And what happens is people say, how does this happen? I know you want to talk about recruiting, but these guys have agents now.
Yeah.
And the agents can go out and, go through the marketplace and see what's available.
Well, that's a perfect segue for Ty Haywood, Rodney. That's the negative part we can get over with, but it doesn't look like he will be a part of this class. 5-star offensive tackle from Denton, Texas, due to said agent.
Yeah, and again, I don't know. I'll say this too, that you have to be careful. You read all these stories, people put out headlines, all these recruiting stories in the summer, and I've tried to warn wrapped up in these summer commitments. Don't get wrapped up in all this hype. And, Haywood was supposedly locked in for Alabama, long-time Alabama fan, all of that stuff. And now here you see what's happening. It's kind of like Scott, you just said, money changes everything.
Yes.
And so here we are. It looks like he'll probably end up at Michigan. Did he sign this morning? Because there were some rumors that he may go ahead and sign now with Michigan, but I haven't heard.
I don't think I've seen anything.
To wait till February.
Right. I think as of now he has, or he's still waiting. And then the other negative part of it, and this is really not because to me, this is a position room that's loaded, and they're going to get A.K. Deer later today at running back, Rodney. But Alabama did lose Jace Clarizio, who they only had for about a week or so. He flipped and signed with Michigan State, back to Michigan State this morning.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think probably he made a good decision for himself. I think,
right.
I understand his mother would prefer him to stay closer to home and all of that. And, he looked like a good back on the film that I watched. I mean, it's my opinion. I thought he was a little smaller than maybe what, in the SEC. But again, would Alabama pick up another running back? I mean, it's possible, the portal. You don't know, because I do think, and I'm not going to speculate on who, but I do think Alabama's probably going to lose at least one running back in this room that's had some carries.
Mm-hmm. And then A.K. Deer, though, big-time talent, and if they can go ahead and get him signed, and he seems very solid, Rodney, a big-time talent, very tough to get out of the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, well, you see Caleb Cunningham, what happened with him. He flipped earlier. I mean, if Alabama could have held on to some of these guys, whether, Caleb Cunningham, Ty Haywood, I think it would have probably been the easily number one class. But I think A.K. Deer, hopefully he sticks. He's expected to. Haven't heard anything to the contrary. So that's obviously a big pickup. He's really explosive and big playmaker, guy that can catch the ball, runs with some power. There's a reason why he's rated one of the top, 3 or 4 backs in the country.
No question. And then speaking of wide receivers, I know they lost Caleb Cunningham, but there's a chance they could pick one up today to go with, I think, the most underrated prospect in this class, in Latsier Brooks.
Yeah, and that's. I really thought Latsier Brooks was going to jump way up the rankings. He did not. I think a lot of that's because he just refused to go to any of these recruiting networks. They hold all these camps and all of these things, these combines, and he wasn't interested. He's a dynamic player. He has over 150 catches in his career in high school, Millville, New Jersey. I watched him 3 or 4 games this year live on the internet, and the guy's a man among boys. I mean, he really is. But as far as the one you're talking about, Las Vegas, Bishop Gorman, 4-star wide receiver, Derek Meadows, who's been committed to LSU. There's a lot of talk that a lot of people predicting that he'll flip to Alabama. I know, obviously, there's other schools that have been working him as well. LSU would love to keep him, obviously. Michigan's been in there. Notre Dame's been in there. We'll see. But most people have been projecting him to Alabama here recently, and he was in our Firecracker 5, guys, back in July. So we lost a couple of those guys in that Firecracker 5. It looks like Haywood and obviously Caleb Cunningham, but it looks like Meadows is a guy that's a real strong possibility.
Any other names that Auburn fans, or Alabama fans, I should say, keep an eye on today?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, this stuff, it can be really unpredictable.
Yeah.
So I would say this, though, and I don't know if it'll happen today. I think he may wait until Friday. Donovan Starr.
Yeah.
He's a 4-star corner out of Brentwood, Tennessee. I know he's been committed to Auburn for a long time. I know he had a great visit when he came for the Missouri game. I know someone that spent some time with him while he was here. And I think the one concern at that time was he wanted to take some time to build a relationship with this Alabama coaching staff because, he had a great relationship with Auburn over a period of time. And I think that's still really strong. And that's certainly one of the reasons it's going to be hard for him to pull the trigger and flip. But I think he wanted to take some time. I think he's done that over the last month or so, really kind of try to build that relationship and get a really strong comfort level. He was back for this past weekend for the Iron Bowl. So we'll see what happens with Donovan Starr. I know Vanderbilt's in there too, but he may announce Friday. He may wait till Friday. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that'd be another big get for Alabama, no question about it. And then, Rodney, I know you put up your feature on Tighter Insider. As far as the recruiting class, they only signed, I think, officially 3 defensive linemen. I think pretty much all 3 of those guys are in the house. Kevontae Henry may not have made it official yet, but he's supposed to. And he could end up being a Wolf as well. He could be a stand-up guy. We know London Simmons is a guy that they liked a lot. They had committed for a long time. Steve Buamua, we talked about him today, the JUCO. But in your mind, is that an area that Alabama could attack in the transfer portal? Because, again, the portal's become almost not as important as the signing class, but very close.
Yeah, I mean, it is very important now. Like you said, I mean, that's how you really can supplement your class, your roster very quickly. And I think Alabama's going to try to do that. You would hope, with defensive linemen. And it's not that the guys that they have committed aren't really good players, prospects, whatever. It's, they need some bigger guys. I mean, they need some interior guys, and they just have not been able to, in my opinion, because these guys are few and far between, number one. I mean, they're hard to find. It's really competitive when you're recruiting for those guys. Georgia, Texas A&M, Texas, all these teams that you have to battle for. Auburn's had a pretty decent defensive line class, I know. But I think that's the one area. You look at Alabama, and you see they're recruiting at elite level basically at every position. But defensive line is, again, I want to be careful. Not that London Simmons isn't a good player or, Steve M is not a good player. I think when you look at him, though, Mboa, he is a guy that he's from Canada. He's got a lot to learn. He's a really, he's a talented kid, extremely talented. Had to go to JUCO, signed with Bama last year and went to JUCO. But I think he's got a ways to go just in terms of development, learning the game. So that's just kind of the way it is on the defensive line. I think it could be better. So they're going to have to go to the portal, I think.
And then, as we know, most of the hay should be in the barn by this afternoon. What does the latest look good? Because, I mean, you mentioned Ty Awood not being a part of this class, very likely, but they've got 4 other really good offensive line prospects. I know Micah DeBose, Mal Waldrop already in the house. Jackson Lloyd announced that he would be signing at his high school last night. What's the latest with Michael Carroll? Everything I've heard has been positive in the last week or so, but is that still the case in your mind?
Well, again, these things, the way they change is recruiting, especially when you're talking about a 5-star prospect. And he might have been Alabama's best pure offensive line commitment, to be honest with you, and even more so than Ty Haywood. Really like Michael Carroll a lot. He has a real mean streak. As offensive linemen like to say, he's pretty nasty. But we'll see. I think so, Drew. I think that he's as solid as you feel comfortable saying that. But we'll see what happens, and hopefully he does follow through.
Mm-hmm. He would be a huge get, and as you said, could be a guy that because I think we are expecting Tyler Booker, Rodney, to turn pro. Could compete for playing time early on, along with the Keelan Russells and some of the other elite prospects in this class.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Again, it's going to be interesting because of the portal. Do you lose any offensive linemen that you already have, your current offensive linemen? So you're probably going to have to go to the portal for some offensive linemen as well. But a guy like Michael Carroll, certainly he's good enough that he could come in and potentially make an early contribution.
He really could, no doubt. Well, Rodney, great stuff. I know you're going to be all over it today on TighterInsider.com. You've already been putting up all the confirmed signees on the front page of Tighter Insider, but let everybody know how to follow you.
Yeah, it's TighterInsider.com. It's only $48 a year. You can get instant access with your credit card if you prefer. There is an address there to send a check. Gives you all our premium information. Also, as you mentioned, our All Sports Forum. That's our community of Alabama fans there. It's it's pretty much nonstop there on TiderInsider.com.
Yeah, it certainly is. I know Rodney was going back and forth last night. Certainly a lot of conversation with the college football playoff rankings, Rodney. Alabama, what final question, though, or final get your final thought. After those rankings came out last night, I know the SMU and Clemson game will be closely monitored, but Alabama making a strong case to potentially get in the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at what Ward Manuel said when he mentioned the reasons Alabama was selected to number 11 or ranked higher than Miami, and he said Alabama was 3-1 versus top 25 teams. Miami was, what were they, 0-2 or 0-1, 0-2, whatever they are. In other words, Alabama had a better resume overall, and I think SMU's the same way. Not that they're not, if they were to lose, there's going to be a lot of people saying, well, SMU should be in, and maybe they should be. But the fact is that they don't have any top 25 wins.
Mm-hmm, right.
So, I mean, if that's the criteria they use, then Alabama would be in over SMU.
Yeah, and SMU's got their chance to win on Saturday. So win the game, remove all that. Well, Rodney, have a great rest of your morning and the rest of your day. We always appreciate the time. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, let's get that final break in. Your tomorrow's headlines wraps us all up.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're down to one accident showing now. That one's Research Park and Old Madison Pike. It was a no injury, so they'll have it cleared out of there pretty quick. Everything else seems to be winding down in good order this morning. You be careful as you make the rest of that trip in this morning. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back into the program. Let's visit the phone lines real fast. Bryce is with us this morning. Good morning, Bryce.
Gentlemen, real quick, I hate to change gears, but that's sad that we lost Ratzel. I'm sorry. Who do you think will get a bigger role? You think it'll be Holiday?
Potentially. I think Holloway and LeBaron Fallon will both play, and LeBaron will continue to start, but Aiden will get more minutes, and then we'll see Chris Youngblood come back because Bryce, I don't think he will play tonight very likely. But they're off for close to about 10 days until they play the Creighton Blue Jays back at home after tonight. And I think that would be the more likely first game with a minutes restriction for Youngblood. And NATO's did say yesterday they will consider potentially taking the red shirt off of Houston Millette, the transfer from Pepperdine. But again, and they're going to look to try to get a medical red shirt for Latrell Wrightsell, who would by then, I'm sure, be applying for Social Security. But still, I don't blame them for trying to get him back. He's a great system fit, but we'll see. But right now, I would say they're still – that's very much up in the air on Houston Millette. But I would think Aiden Holloway, LeBaron Philon, they need Sears to be better. He did not shoot the ball well in the last game, but Coach O's talked about the spacing issues and maybe trying to help Sears get, some better looks from three. And then you can go bigger. I mean, Jaron Stevenson can play even the three. He's been shooting the ball better. You've got, Grant Nelson, who's a versatile big as well. They've got plenty of depth on this team. You hate to lose Wrightsell. Great defender, great kid, great shooter. But again, that's why they recruited this deep roster, and they should be able to navigate it.
All right, Bryce, thanks for the phone call, bud.
Hey, guys, appreciate you letting me talk. And one last thing, the committee, to me, they send a message. If you want to be in the playoffs, you're going to have to play somebody besides Huntsville and Tuscaloosa High School. You got to play better opponents.
Yep, agreed.
Agreed, Bryce.
All right, tonight, 6:15, Alabama, North Carolina. That'll follow by 8:15, Auburn and Duke. It's the ACC SEC Challenge. We'll recap all of that tomorrow, plus more college football news, plus signing day recap. We got a lot of stuff to get through tomorrow, so stay with us.